Social Pulse Weekly, brought to you by Agora Pulse. Discussing this week's hottest topics and latest developments in social media marketing. With your host, Jennifer Watson. Here's Social Pulse Weekly.
Hi, everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Social Pulse Weekly. I am so extra excited for our guest today because I was on the Twitter chat, CM World Twitter chat, about, I think, 4 weeks ago or so, and we did a live right after that. And now I get to have the person that interviewed me as our guest. And I guess I can actually say her name because we've already been promoting her, but I'm so excited to have Monina Wagner as our guest. Now, she is an incredible community manager, and she's an award-winning community manager that's worked with big, huge brands before Content Marketing Institute. So we're going to geek out with her. But first, I want to say hi to everyone who's watching. Please let us know who you are and where you're watching us from. And also, what is the weather like where you live? Because if you don't know, I'm actually a meteorologist by trade, kind of transitioned to a social media specialist when I was at the Weather Channel. And now I'm the social media manager at Agora Pulse. So let us know what the weather is like outside your door. And also, if you haven't done so already, check out agorapulse.com. Just do it right now. And I would love to know what you like or what you've noticed with our new design. Let us know how you feel about it. It's been in the works for a while, but we're so excited about it. Our fun little characters, all the new colors and the new layout and everything. So let us know what you think about the new website. We've got George in the house, George, USA. Oh my God, George, how are you doing? Hopefully you've had a great week. One other thing really quick, Instagram is down while I've been prepping for the live show. Monina and I were just talking about that behind the scene. There's been issues also with Facebook Messenger. As you know, new developments come out, I will be trying to keep an eye on it as we're doing this interview. But if you have something to share about that Instagram news as well, please do so, because producing a live show and doing a live show at the same time as that is just a little bit difficult. But we've got Megan Powers in the house. We've got Deb Mitchell. And I'm probably not going to say this name correctly, but Satish. I apologize completely. If you can let me know how to pronunciate it, that would be wonderful. But from India, I'm so excited you're joining us as well. And we have an amazing guest. So I want to bring her on because time is of the essence. I sent her 14 questions, I think, but I actually had a whole lot more I wanted to ask her, and I kind of pulled back a little bit. So I'm going to bring her on stage really quick. Monina Wagner. Monina, thank you so much for joining us. So this is how awesome she is. Let's talk about this for a second. She is the community manager for the Content Marketing Institute, where she brings together professionals from around the globe. With a passion for connecting people, Monina previously led community initiatives for brands like Nestle, Cleveland Clinic, and Sherwin-Williams. She has an award-winning track record let me rephrase that again. She has an award-winning track record building, managing, and nurturing audiences. She is a proud finalist for the 2020 CMX Online Community Professional of the Year. And before her work as a community manager, Monina focused on using meaningful conversations to find and distribute great content for the Fox and ABC affiliates in Cleveland. In her free time, you can find Monina cheering in the stands at her daughter's lacrosse games. By the way, I think we talked about this. I played lacrosse in college. She's also the sitting secretary on the recovery resources of the Cleveland Associate Board. Oh my gosh, Monina, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I am so thrilled, but I kept saying, oh my gosh, it's Agora Pulse and the Jennifer Watson. Like, I'm so nervous.
Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be. Oh my God, we had such a blast on the Twitter chat. I think it was 4 weeks ago. And then the live show too. Like, I feel like we could talk for hours upon hours. Like, yes. It literally hit 2:00 and it's just like, all right, we got to start the show. I kind of want to just geek out with you forever. So we're moving that on camera. We've got Trisha as well. Trisha is across the pond in the UK. So excited you're joining us. Trisha is amazing, by the way. She calls us her Agora family. So we love Trisha. So thank you everyone for joining us, and definitely check out our new website if you haven't done so. The design is agorapulse.com. So obviously the same link, but the whole new design. We'd love to know what you think. But first and foremost, Monina, I want to know how you got to where you are today. You've worked with these amazing brands, local TV stations. Can we just geek out for a second and you tell us a little bit more about how you got to be so amazing?
Oh, well, I don't know about amazing, but I do love talking about my journey because I kind of feel like everyone's journey is so interesting, right? But it's that whole scrapbook of my life, right? When I can tell people. So first, I will say this though, it is March Madness and I am a huge Loyola University Chicago fan. It is my alma mater. We went to the Final Four a few years ago and we are back. So in a few hours is tip off. So please send some good vibes to my team. I probably won't wear this the whole time because I'm looking at it now and I'm kind of like, oh, it's Harry Potter-ish with the sleeves and the scarf. But this is all Loyola. But, you know, I think back and in high school, we had a TV station within our school. And we did community channel, community access type stuff. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I kind of knew from then that that was the career path I wanted to go into when I went into college. So after doing some work in college, taking the journalism classes, having internships in Chicago and here in Cleveland, my hometown, I got into TV news and I knew I didn't want to be on camera. So this is actually really awkward for me being on camera because it's not something I was always comfortable with. But I did love being behind the scenes and I ended up on the assignment desk. And for those of you who don't know what that is, the assignment desk is basically the hub, the heartbeat of a newsroom. So they get to decide and talk to the sources, so law enforcement, any government officials, any public relations and media specialists, but you also get to talk to the viewers and you talk to the reporters, obviously, and the photographers. So everything kind of funnels through the assignment desk. And that was something I really, really enjoyed. On top of that is when really the heyday, when different social media networks were starting to be introduced. So I was getting into that as well. And as being a new mom back then, it was a way for me to connect with other new moms, whether they were in my hometown or not. So I really, my love for social media kind of started there. And I was marrying really both of them together, my love of news and love of social media. And just for fun, dating myself, I would help the webmaster. There were no digital teams back then. I would help the webmaster. And I would do social media. So I would ask for news tips, or I would share breaking news on Twitter, or, things of that nature. So that's really how I kind of started in social media.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, it's funny though, because so when I decided to get out of TV news, I was doing some work for Disney. Mm-hmm. And a woman here in Cleveland decided she wanted to take a Disney vacation, and she would just start DMing me on Twitter, knowing that I was doing stuff for Disney, and we would talk back and forth. And she had a lovely vacation from what I know. But when she came back from vacation, she offered me a job. She was actually a VP for a local ad agency. We had never met. We had never really talked about social media, but I got my first true community management job from a random DM on Twitter. And that's what I tell people all the time, is that's how powerful, that's how impactful social media is that someone I don't even know felt good enough about what I do and who I am that they could just say, hey, here's a job. So I'm super, super lucky, super lucky.
Oh my God, I love that. And I have a similar story. So I love that we both have TV news backgrounds, because as a meteorologist, I got my job at the Weather Channel through Twitter and DM as well. Literally, they saw my forecast and everything, and I'd applied for a job, and they've been already following me, the hiring manager, on Twitter. And so social media is so powerful. You never know who's watching. So, stay consistent and all of that. And I was hired as a social media meteorologist at the Weather Channel just because they needed someone who knew the weather, who was a meteorologist, but could also run social media. But I had all that kind of experience similar to you at a news station. And it's funny, everyone, before the show started, we were both kind of like doing different things, but it's just like we're so used to the newsroom, and even 30 seconds before a live show is like an eternity, you know? I mean, 3 seconds is when it's close, but 30 seconds, you're like, we can flip this, we can redo this. So I so love that, like, Monina, your background and everything. And I would love to know, what is your level of education and how long have you been in social media itself, the industry?
Oh, yeah. So I graduated from Loyola. So I have my bachelor's of journalism, or Bachelor of Arts in journalism. So that was a 4-year degree. And I probably have been, I spent over a decade in TV news. And again, dating myself, I've spent over a decade already. I think it's probably a good 11, 12 years now working strictly in social media. So it's, it's when you tell me that Instagram's down, I can think about, oh, wait, Instagram wasn't like a part of your daily strategy, like it was in an infancy still. So yeah, it's been a while.
Oh my, I love that. Monina, I love that so much. I think we're the same age. I don't know if we've ever talked about that. We can talk off camera about that.
I was going to say, we don't tell.
I think we're very similar. But I would love to know, how many social media profiles do you manage at the Content Marketing Institute, and what channel do you focus on the most?
So I work, Content Marketing Institute is owned, parent company is Informa. So I do a little bit of work for some of the brands there as well. So I actually counted and took a look. When we call profiles, and if we're speaking specific platforms, it's 21 platforms. And that doesn't include like our Slack groups, LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups. So it took me a while when I saw what it was. It really did. It depends on what the brand is which ones I focus on. There is one brand that LinkedIn is where they are, their audience is, and their community really engages with the LinkedIn post. There's another one where we're really trying to build up their Instagram account, because the industry community really thrives there. So we know that they could really do well there and really kind of grow their presence if we concentrate on that. For CMI, it's Twitter. Man, marketers and Twitter. I mean, it's hard to take that away from them. And, I'm grateful for it because I enjoy Twitter too. So yeah, Twitter, CMI really, and that we were lucky enough to have you on the Twitter chat. Yeah, Twitter's a big one for us at CMI.
Oh my gosh. And I can only imagine, we were talking about at a meeting yesterday about the power of, searching hashtags on Twitter. It's the platform that's the easiest to search, and joining in on Twitter chats is so powerful as well, like creating one, which is why we created our agency chat, just because it's amazing how many people you can reach. And if you're trying to reach new audiences, it's the fastest way to do that as well, unlike, Facebook and other platforms. And really quick before we move forward, we've got a lot of fun people in the house. We've got Brad Friedman in the house. Brad, how are you doing? Oh my gosh. Let us know what the weather is outside your door, because spring officially starts tomorrow in the Northern Hemisphere, and fall in the Southern Hemisphere. I just had to say it. We've got George. George said, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Have you. Kathy Phillips said, hey, Mo. She loves you. Kathy, you're so awesome. I'm so glad you're here.
Yes.
We had asked everyone at the top of the show to check out our new website, our new design. And Megan, thank you for the kind words. She said, love the animation, organizing your social on the new website. Yes, thank you so much, Megan. I'm so glad you love it. And I just had to pull up Trisha, because Trisha is amazing and watches every single week. We love her. If Trisha's not a part of the show, then it's not really a show, is it? So Trisha, thank you so much. And we have Monina Wagner here on the show. She's a community manager, award-winning community manager. And so if you have questions about how to organize a community, build a community, ask them here, ask them now, because she knows what she's doing. She hosts an amazing Twitter chat and so many other things. So if you have a question about community management, ask us, because not only do you have Monina Wagner, you got Deb Mitchell, our community manager. We have people here to help you. And we understand it's hard and it's scary to start a community or to try starting to build a community just from scratch. So we are here from you. And I have a big kind of question for you next, Monina. So hopefully you're like, oh, Jen. So you manage a global community, right? You build that. And so how do you break the barriers between different regional and cultural and country differences? Because I know, community manager may mean something different in a different country, or they don't really use community managers. I was just using that as an example for Community Manager Appreciation Day. I remember when we were translating that to other languages, people are like, yeah, that's a little, odd. So how do you collectively bring everyone together? Do you have multiple Facebook groups in different languages? Where do you have your communities, and how do you kind of unite them globally, even though there's different language and cultural barriers?
I appreciate this question so much, especially with how things in the world are right now. Really, when I first started, I was doing a lot of deep social media strategy. And at that point, years ago, when we talked about global audiences, we were talking about, like you mentioned, so is this GIF, is this picture, will it be understandable to someone who doesn't live here in the United States? Like, those are the things that you really had to consider back then. But as we grew, and as the industry kind of evolved, what we ended up looking at is you would listen to the community, and you would hear, like, if you take content marketing world, we have 4,000 marketers who come to Cleveland every year, and 60 different countries are represented. I mean, that's crazy, at least for me to think about, having that many people coming together in one city for one conference. So when we think about that,
All right. It looks like Monina just dropped out for a quick second. We might be having a few internet problems, which is okay, everyone, because we always have a plan. And you know what? Things happen, but I think she popped back in. She's here. It's like magic, which I love. Oh my gosh, Monina, hi.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. It's totally okay.
It was like I was talking to, it's like talking to, like, your child, right? It's like you're talking to yourself, and all of a sudden I'm like, it's just me. It's just me here.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're totally okay. No, I love it. It literally covering and doing live video for weather events. Do you know how many times we've lost signals, the audio? People are like, what are you saying? So yes, we've been there, done that. This was nothing, but yes.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because you keep asking everyone, like, how the weather is. It is gorgeous here in Northeast Ohio, except for the freaking wind. So I have, like, lacrosse net goals, like, flying through the backyard. I mean, it's been like this for 24 hours. So, but I was like, my connection looks okay. So I'm not sure what it was. So I apologize for that.
No, that's totally okay. And we're fingers crossed that it stays strong throughout the rest of the interview, which I can't believe we're already 20 minutes in.
I know.
But I love this. But yes, I would love your thoughts on finishing that question about creating a global community and uniting it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not sure where I cut off, but so with content marketing world, we have 4,000 marketers who show up in Cleveland every year from 60 different countries, at least. And to me, that is just something so special. But what we learned at the Content Marketing Institute, we listened to the community, and we started hearing them talk about how the face of the event didn't necessarily match the face of the attendees. It didn't really look like not just the attendees, but their audiences, our community itself. So, we really took a hard look at that a few years ago, and we started recruiting so that we would have more people of color, more speakers who may have disabilities. We wanted more women speakers. So that was really important to us, because that is part of breaking cultural barriers. Fast forward to last year, with the events from last year, let's talk about the events this week in Atlanta. And that again is really kind of touching upon the cultural barriers, some of the sensitivities that we have to be aware of as community managers and as brands. Last year, we saw a ton of brands who were posting about their support and solidarity for the Black community, and that is wonderful. But I'm really proud, and I say this a lot about CMI. I'm really proud of CMI because not only did we do that, but a few weeks later, we actually outlined and explained what we were doing, so that we were accountable. So this past week, we see a lot of brands doing the same, and that was something that I didn't want, and I know a lot of our team did not want, because I think we're past solidarity. Solidarity is really important, but it's time for action now. And we may not know what that answer is with action, but like this week, we curated little baby steps that we could take that would really support the AAPI community. So when we talk about global audiences, global community members, I think there goes a lot to be said about empathy. There's a lot to be said about knowledge and empowering not only your community members, but those who you're looking to support. And I think there's a lot to be said about patience, because you know what? We don't know if we're doing everything right, but we ask members of our community, you know, what should we be doing? What can we do better? And they'll tell you. You ask your community, and they will tell you if you're not doing something right. And they will tell you if they're grateful for something that you are doing. So I think it's really just about listening, right? So if it really is, that's what I'll say. It's all about listening. And your audiences, no matter where they are, no matter how many miles are between you and them, as long as we're trying to learn from each other. And I think that's how lucky we are at CMI. If you're trying to learn from each other, that's really all that's really all that matters. That's really what helps bring us together.
Yeah, no. And I love that you said that. Just ask your community too, because a lot of times when people don't know what to post or they're not sure what to post, I just say, ask a question, ask your community, what do they need help on? What are they struggling with? How can you help them? That's the best way to get a response and also to garner really good engagement as well. So I absolutely love that. And it has been a tough week because Monina, we didn't talk about this before the show, but the town, like that's my town that all those shootings happened in. And it was like literally like not that far away at all. And I was just like, oh my gosh, absolutely devastating. So, and we're coming, we have something that we're going to be posting right after this show as well. So I love that you guys are taking action and doing things. And really quick, I want to give a shout out to Trisha, who said, love my Agora Pulse family. I've never engaged with such a lovely, genuine bunch of people as at Agora Pulse. That's why I'm a loyal advocate, and you all make me feel so welcome and a part of your community. You are a part of our community, Trisha. Like literally, you are the heart and soul of it. So we're so glad that you're here and you join us all the time. George is asking, how do we follow you, Monina? Will you share that really quick? Because George may need to head out somewhere.
Yeah, George, thanks for asking. So I am Monina W, so Monina W, across, I think, all platforms. So you can find me there on LinkedIn and on Twitter and on Instagram, Pinterest. I think everywhere, I think I'm Monina W, so it's perfect.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And Brad asked about the weather. Brad said, beautiful day in Denver today, 65, followed by snow on Sunday. Brad, I'm jealous of you. Anyone who lives in Denver and gets that, like, I'm just so jealous. Oh my gosh, we've got Juan Santiago in the house. I love that. Mike Alton said, it's time for action. Yes. And he also said, we can all do more to support our AAPI friends and colleagues and every other community member. Yes. Like we're all in this together. I want every, sometimes people say I view the world as cupcakes and unicorns. Like it's just a magical place, but there's places where we struggle and people need to understand that we need to unite together. Deb Mitchell is also sharing the links to your Twitter and probably your other profiles in the comments. So we've got that taken care of. So such a great conversation. Monina, you are an award-winning marketer, community builder. Can you talk to us a little bit more about how you nurture your communities on a daily basis and how you won your awards?
So I am really proud. I hate to I feel bad when I brag about it, but I'm so proud of the
Brag,
work.
brag. Everyone needs to celebrate their wins. You should not feel bad ever for celebrating your wins, because if she wins, he wins, we all win. So yes, Monina, and you sharing your knowledge with us is going to just help elevate us all. So yes, brag as much as you want.
Well, so I can think of, I can think of a few, but I can think of one campaign that I absolutely loved. And it was a content marketing project that we did for a paint company. And what I loved about it is it used influencers. So I was helping with the activation of the influencers who were part of the project that we were working on. And I think that influencers is such an authentic way. And I guess it's such a good way to really engage your community, because it's people that they already know, it's people that they already trust, and it's people that they want to talk to. Right. That's probably the most important thing that really happened during that is just, it's not even about buzz. It's about learning from them. It's about just really kind of getting to know them and seeing, like you and me, Jen, right? It's like, oh my gosh, we have this in common and we have this in common. And oh, we don't, we're kind of different about that, but man, I want to learn from you for it. So that was one of the projects that I really did love. But another one that I worked on was for a food company, for a food brand. And what I did, I was really proud of, because I think it's something that any other social media manager would be able to geek out over. Mm-hmm. And I was doing social listening. It was nothing. I mean, it was a term in quotes. I mean, that's all it was. And I came to find out that a president of a competitor had said something that was going nuts on social media. Absolutely, positively nuts. And when we talk about inclusion, it was not the most inclusive of comments that the CEO made. But we were able to respond. And to me, it's crazy because it came from listening, using a tool like Agora Pulse and having that listening tool in place. And to be able to go through all of the layers of legal and marketing, the brand marketing team and things like that. And to be able to post something so quickly that we were able to get coverage from Huffington Post, MSNBC, New York Times, all of these wonderful publications, simply because we were listening to the community. We were listening on social media, and we knew who our community was and what they expected from us. So it kind of goes back to, what we were saying about the last 12 months, that we now know that consumers want to be associated with brands that align with their values. Yeah. And that's really what we learned, when we got this coverage, is that our community knew they didn't want what the competitor had. They wanted to be what we had. They wanted to be part of that. And they wanted to be part of that movement. And that is it's like a wow moment, right? It's just, that's where I think social media managers and, professionals, we all kind of are like, that's the aha, I'm so happy that happened, because it really shows that we're doing the work that we should be, right? Mm-hmm. It really kind of validates what we do.
And I love that when you I love that validation, because you talked about just listening to your audience first, actually listening to what they're doing and what's going on, their pain points, but also actually listening, using a tool to figure out the conversations going on, maybe not just around your brand itself, but your industry, your competitors, understanding the sentiment around that as well. And when you have people that come to you because they love the values that your brand, that your company, that your people abide by and live by, that's huge. And they follow you for that reason. So Monina, I'm so excited for you. Of course, everyone talking to you and seeing you right now is whatever she does, let's follow her.
Oh,
yes. Oh my God. It's the truth. It's so the truth, 1,000% the truth. So everything you touch turns to gold. I truly believe that. But no, thank you for sharing that with us. And really quick, Deb Mitchell in the audience says IG is back up, which is awesome. Thanks, Deb, for that alert. It's good to know as you're doing a live show. It's really hard to keep up with everything. I've been trying to. But Monina, I would love to know, what is a day in the life like for a community manager for Content Marketing Institute? Like, what do you usually do? You wake up, you check listening, sentiment, schedule posts, or just monitor metrics? What do you do?
So each day is different. It's kind of like TV news. That's why I love TV news, right? With social media, every day is different. You don't know what to expect. I think a typical day for me, it starts bright and early. I try to get up about 5:30 in the morning. I have a cup of coffee while I am going through social media for not just personal social media. I do check personal social media first thing in the morning, and then I end my day with it. But once I'm done with it in the morning, I start looking at social media accounts for CMI. And I spend a good hour doing that, even if it's been cleaned out from the night before. I'd like to look at, like I said, social listening. So it's not just app mentions or anything like that. If there are stories that need to be pushed out, I push them out early in the morning as well. So that's about my first hour. I answer some emails. Typically, Kathy, who's watching right now, Kathy is typically up early too with me. So she and I, it's kind of our time together. So we can just kind of get settled for our day. And then I will actually go and work out for a little bit. So after I've worked for about 60, 90 minutes, I will get up after I finish my coffee and work out. I kind of feel like I need that. If I don't start my day that way, then I kind of feel like everything is off. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
So that's how it really starts. But then like every day is different. So like we're either doing editorial calendars or we're doing live streams. It's just, sometimes we're writing, right? Like we go back to our TV roots and I'm writing something, which is so crazy. But I love that. I think that's what's so great about our role is that we can do all of that still and more. And I like the variety. I really do. So yeah, every day is kind of a little different. It Twitter chats or like it, it's hard right now because we're, sheltering in place and not able to go out, because I do miss, stuff in person. I miss meetups. I miss, seeing our community members, actually giving them hugs. And I miss that, but, kind of make up for it and try to get in as much as you can on anything online so that we could see them and talk to them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I so agree. And Mike Alton said having our own routines around all the chaos is critical. So true. So I feel like we are just one and the same, Monina, because I love working out. I love going outside, getting fresh air, taking a break, like getting myself pumped up. I also have like private dance parties with myself where I just jam out to music because that's what I do. But I love it. And I think you and I are also similar in the fact that I couldn't have like a 9-to-5 job sitting doing like, crunching numbers. Like I needed variety. I needed change. I love the change. Just like how weather changes every day. Social media is never consistent. There's always something. And that's what makes it fun, you know?
It really does.
And unique and different. So that's what I love about it so much. And you guys, we're talking to Monina Wagner. We're 30 minutes in. If you have a question, you need to ask it now because I've got a lot of questions also for Monina, but we're ending at the top of the hour. So we're closing in. We're more than halfway now. And so if you've got a question, please let us know. Really quick though, Monina, I would love to know what social channel do you struggle to get the most engagement with or to get any kind of engagement with? Because all of them are different. I know that. And we get a similar answer for this question most of the time, but sometimes, depending on what your goals are for social media, sometimes we get different answers and unique answers. So I'd love to know which social channel you struggle the most with when it comes to engagement.
Now I'm going to feel bad if I'm the only one who says Facebook.
Oh my God, everyone says Facebook. Everyone says Facebook. Literally, everyone says Facebook. Do you have any tips to combat struggling to get engagement on that?
Man, don't I wish. Like, you guys can give me your tips. I will take the tips. We were just having the conversation because I'll be the first to admit it. I did not think iOS 14 was going to be, I was like, oh, they're just fibbing. There's no way it's going to make a difference. And then now that everyone in the community, social media communities are starting to talk about it, and I'm like, oh my God, is it really making an impact? And so I'm a little worried about that. I don't know. I really would like, really, if any of you have, I'd love to be able to brainstorm with anyone here, please hit me up. Because just Facebook used to be such a wonderful place for the community, at least for our community. And, when people start saying it's going to be a decline, it really is a decline. Like there's never oh no, it's not as bad as people think. No, it's bad. It's bad. And I'm the first one to admit that it's really bad.
No, it is. It is really bad. And so we use Facebook. One of the best ways we can get engagement is by asking questions, like you said. And obviously doing live video, that helps, which we do a lot of live video shows now with Agora Pulse, which is great and allows us to connect with people. But like you said, our Twitter chat, we created that for a reason. And Twitter is the most searchable and so easy to get engagement. That's why we like that. LinkedIn is so good in other ways, even like B2B or B2C marketing. It's so great, even with ads. And so it just depends. But with Facebook, for us, what we found, asking those questions and also live video. But even then, like we struggle. We're just like, come on, guys. Usually after we do a live video, we post a post that's like of higher importance, because usually the people that watch the live video or got served it, and usually that gets more engagement, it gives that next post a bump. So we save, some of our most important posts to after our live shows, just so we can get that extra boost and extra awareness. But it's a struggle. And if anyone else has tips, please let us know. Oh, this is a great question. George said, do you teach a course in community management?
I do not teach a course in community management, but I appreciate you asking. No, I think we've talked about this before. I think a lot of people talk about this. I have imposter syndrome like no other.
No.
So when people ask me to speak, I am petrified. And like I said, I was like, I do a lot of stuff with local colleges. So a lot of local colleges will ask me to come in for a night or two just to speak about social media and community management. But when it comes to like teaching an entire course, it scares me. But George, connect with me on LinkedIn. We'll talk.
Oh my gosh. Yes. No, seriously. Monina, you could so do that. And Brad said, be careful what you wish for. I'm going to hit you up and brainstorm.
Yeah. No, I want that.
You know what? Maybe so listening this conversation right now, maybe we do another live where it's like a Zoom call or something more private, where we get a whole bunch of us together and we just start brainstorming tactics, talking about what we tried, what we haven't tried, that sort of a thing. So Brad, Monina, oh my gosh, great ideas and great tips. I love it. So speaking of community manager and management, what is the number one skill that you think every community manager or social media manager needs to have?
Is listening a skill? Listening's a skill, right? I think I have learned so much from others because I've had to step back and listen. So it's not just listening to the people within our community, but it's listening to, our peers. It's listening to other members in our team. So I think listening really is the most important thing. Writing is a skill that, I will, till kingdom come, I will tell everyone that writing is a skill that you need no matter what industry. And that's not just for social media. I think it's really important for social media because not just long form, but for short form, you need to know how to be concise. You need to know how to get your message across and tell your stories. So I think that's writing and listening. And with listening too, you can't tell. I was having this conversation with my boss earlier today. You can't tell your best stories unless you have diverse voices and perspectives. And part of having those diverse voices and perspectives, you need to be listening to them. They could be swirling around you as much as they can be. But if you don't realize they're there, if you're not listening to them, if you're not recognizing them, it really doesn't help you or your content. So I think if I could pick two, it would be listening and also writing.
I love that. I love that you said writing, because no one said that yet. No one's actually said listening either. So I think a lot of people say just be okay with change, be able to go with the flow. But I love that because those are key. And I can totally tell that you worked in the news industry just by saying that, writing, because it's so true. And if you struggle with writing, you guys need to buy the book, Anne Hanley's book, Everyone Writes. because it is brilliant. It's amazing. It'll change your mind, your world, everything. So everybody, I think it's everyone or everybody writes.
Everybody.
Everybody writes. Yeah. So Anne Handling, Everybody Writes. Make sure you read that book because it's brilliant and it's so awesome. With that said, Monina, we ask everyone this question. And so I know you're just like, oh gosh. So what is the biggest mistake you've ever made as a community manager and how did you fix it? I will say, so, and I talk about this, we had a big live show at the Weather Channel and the audio had been tested and was fine 30 minutes prior. Someone had gone and like totally messed it up or did something. And I have no idea why, because we had different computers. We don't necessarily have a sign desk. So we all share computers. I didn't check it right before we went live. Like I did like 30 minutes. I'm like, we're going to be fine. It's okay. And it was a big deal. We had like Ginger Z on, like, you know, national, and literally the audio wasn't working on this Facebook Live. And I was like literally melting bright red. My like boss is over me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so we were able to fix it. But do you have a similar story, Monina?
Well, I mean, I dropped out of this interview. So that seems to be a big problem.
And you fixed it. You came right back. That's what you do, guys. If something happens, you just pop in. Seriously.
No, you know what? I almost don't want to admit that I did this, but I did it. It was like I engaged a troll. I completely engaged a troll. That's like social media 101, don't do. And I did it. And oh man, that was a huge lesson learned. I mean, it really is, because I still think about it to this day and I really hate that I did it. I completely, like, I don't have a lot of regrets. And that is one of my regrets, because you could be, what do they say? You could be the ripest, juiciest peach, but not everyone's going to like peaches. Not everyone's going to like you. So it's taught me a lot of lessons. You know, they were very adamant that they didn't like how I was doing my job. It wasn't even content that we had put out. It was like, it was a personal attack. And it's fine. You know, it's fine. Because what I ended up doing is not just engaging, but I was picking, like, you know, I was completely tapping the troll and antagonizing them, and I shouldn't have. And I've learned that, like, I was so juvenile about the entire situation that I shouldn't have. But I've learned from that, because when I used to work at the assignment desk, people would call in and they would say horrible things about the people who were on air. But those were my friends, and they would say horrible things about the stories we chose, and that was my work. And it's the same thing here. You know, they say bad things about the stories we're putting out, or the conference that we're putting on, or, you know, they saw someone from our team speak and they didn't like them. And I take it all personally, but I have to remember that I need to leave it there. Like that is not one person is not a reflection of the community that we've built and the wonderful marketers who are, you know, who are part of what we've built at CMI. So that's a huge lesson for me, is that with social media, there's always going to be those people, and you kind of just have to walk away and remember, one person, millions of people. It does not change. It does not make or break us. So that's. But I hate admitting that I did that. I really hate admitting it.
But I think everyone has at some point, right? And probably even more than once, and not realize it. And like, then they have to take a step back, step outside of the situation, realize, what am I doing? I'm just fueling that fire. And it happens that way. And, you know, people have opinions and you don't realize what's just happened to someone, what they're going through, or they're angry at something else and they take it out on you. And working in news, just like you, as an on-camera talent, man, it wasn't the hate from the men. It was the hate from women on how I dress.
No kidding.
I was just like, whoa, guys, if you knew how much I made, you know? And I was just like, I remember one day my chief meteorologist was like, Jen, don't cry. Cause it was, I was just, you know, a little baby. I was just like, oh my God, you know, it's my first job. And then I wouldn't cry when I got home. But like, like, this was just what I did back then. I always gave everyone one chance. Like, okay, you can be nasty to me once, and I would respond in a way, and they would usually apologize. But when it comes to trolls like that, a brand or anything, you just let it go. Like, you listen, you pay attention. They're like, is there truth to any of what they're saying if it's about your brand or whatever? But if like you can't learn anything from it or whatever, then you just let it go, you know?
Absolutely.
It's not worth it. Cause I think about Jay Baer and his Hug Your Haters book, it's, you know, sometimes people can say things in a nasty way and you're like, if you just said that politely, like we would all be okay. You know, I'm like, where's the politeness when it comes to social media? But yeah, trolls, yes, you just completely stay away. But Monina, thanks for sharing that, because I think it brings a good point where no matter how upsetting, you know, a troll can be, just don't engage. It's just not worth it. You know, it never ends up well. So,
well, and I also love what you said, because it really is a learning experience, not just for me, but they may have something really genuinely good for the brand to know. Yeah. But they didn't say it in a way that you could appreciate at that moment. You know, it's really important to be able to differentiate that and know that, okay, that actually was really great feedback. But I need to be able to decompress and understand what that feedback is. So
yes. Oh my gosh. And Deb Mitchell just shared Hug Your Haters. She shared Everybody Writes and Hug Your Haters on the chat. So Deb, thank you for doing that. We're running up to less than 15 minutes. I have a couple more quick hitting questions, and then we have fun trivia, guys, on Content Marketing World and Institute, which is so fun and I'm so excited for. So Monina, really quick, what is one thing, we ask this of everyone too, what's one thing you dislike about being a community manager?
This one's a hard one, because I really do enjoy my job. I think the hardest part for me, and I had this conversation, a lot of you may know who Christopher Penn is. Chris is this genius just a genius of a marketer. And he and I were having this conversation. My fear always as a community manager is I'm playing favorites. I think favoritism is something that's a big deal within a lot of communities, and they can bring communities down. And, you know, and that's something I don't want. I don't want that within our Twitter chats. I don't want that within our Slack groups. I don't want that at meetups, you know, in-person meetups. That's not something I want. And I think that's one of the things that I don't want to say dislike, but I struggle with as a community manager, because, you know, in this role, you become friends with people that you've met online. And I don't want my friendship with someone to make someone else uncomfortable, because they're in our community and they do matter to me, but I don't want them to get the feeling that, oh, I'm showing more love to one person or to another and not them. That's something that I don't want. So I really struggle with that. It's not a matter of disliking, I think. But I have to remember that sometimes I probably should be speaking to my friends from my personal accounts rather than acting as CMI as the brand and responding to them and having a good time and laughing. Like, that's okay. But sometimes I think I do it maybe just a little too much from the brand handle. And I should be doing it probably more from my personal handles and my personal accounts.
Well, no, and I get the same way, because I manage both on my phone, like my personal phone, both accounts. So I'm always like, wait, am I my personal account? Like, if I respond to it on my own Instagram and I'm like, dash Jen, you know, everyone's like, I have to. Why would you? We know it's you, you know, but I sometimes I'm like, I have to like double check and make sure. But you know, and what I was thinking that you might say to that question was the same answer to the previous question, where the trolls, you know, one thing you dislike about it is just having, because like they're always going to be there. Social media has made it so easy for people like, you know, to react in a way and lose that respect and politeness, because you're just like, would you say that to me in person, like to my face? Like, you know, I just wonder that. Now
it was a lot easier for me before, because I was in CPG, so we had a ton of trolls. But at CMI, I'm really, really fortunate, because I mean, I think we've had two since I started years ago. So knock on wood, I probably just jinxed myself, but I'm really lucky here at CMI.
I love that. And I'm so glad that you don't have any, because we really, like at Agora Pulse, we hardly have any either, which speaks,
because you guys are amazing.
Well, no, it's because you're amazing. Stop talking about yourself and your brand. I always say that to everyone. But no, Monina, what is your favorite social channel personally? What do you love the
Oh,
most?
easy. It would be Instagram. Had you asked me 12 months ago, it probably would have been TikTok.
Oh,
But I mean, it's always Instagram. Like it's always Instagram. I
okay.
just, I like I feel like I'm very particular with who I follow on Instagram.
Mhm.
So that's the first thing. But I also think that it's pure joy that people post on Instagram. And I love that so much. I love seeing whether it's someone who's on a walk or someone who, their pets or their family or their work, whatever it is, it's something that made them so happy they wanted to share it. I feel like a lot of that gets lost on Facebook.
Mhm.
And I love Twitter and I love LinkedIn, but I use a lot of that more for either networking or I use it for just for learning. Like I love looking at all of the articles and thought sharing, the knowledge sharing that happens on LinkedIn. But really, Instagram, man, Instagram's great. But during the beginning of the pandemic, I was sick of social, like, period, which is horrible for me to say. But
Oh,
TikTok, like, it was refreshing. I could sit there on TikTok for hours, and I'm like, this is good for COVID. This helps me. So
oh God, TikTok was so bad for me. Like I would be on there probably for over 30 minutes. Now Clubhouse is like, yes. Oh my God, just the conversations and like it's such a unique app. But I love how you described Instagram as pure joy, like people posting like what makes them happy. For the most part, you're not getting some of the hate that you see on Facebook. It's just like you said, what makes people happy. And I
yeah.
love that. So I've never heard anyone describe Instagram like that before. So I love that description because it's beautiful and it's so good and it just proves exactly why you love it. So I love it now. And I have one last question. If anybody else has a question, and George says, Deb, thank you for sharing insights on books for content marketing. I love Jay Bear. For everyone in the audience, if you have a book recommendation, let us know. Also, we have our Agora Pulse book club in our Facebook group. And so we will have the author of Leveling Up, Eric Sue, on live 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, geeking out about that. Basically, how to just dominate and own your life. So if you're looking for another book, George, get Leveling Up by Eric Sue. It's great. I'm sure Deb can find the Amazon link. It's going to be a really epic conversation because we had Mark Schaefer on talking about cumulative advantage last month, and I didn't mean to, but I brought him to tears in a happy way. I did. And so I don't know if I'm going to make Eric Sue cry. I never want that to happen, but hopefully he'll bring happy tears and joy of like, oh my gosh, I really can do this. So yeah, definitely that book is good. Monina, do you have a book actually that you love for marketing or a personal favorite?
Oh, you know what? So we also have a book club, and one that we just did is brandscaping, and we had Allison Stratton with us. I love Scott and Allison, and I really enjoyed it because it was short snippets. Like each chapter was just a few pages long, and it gave a brand example and why it was a fail or why it was, a success. And I really, really, it's been a while since not that I don't love every book of all of our marketing friends. But that one, it was an easy read, and it was inspiring to see what, we learn from other brands, right? And we
Yeah.
get our ideas from other brands. And I was like, oh, I can, I took a lot of notes. You could see like how much I was highlighting. It's been a while since I've done that. So that brandscaping is the one I would suggest.
Oh my gosh. And I love that because for me as a learner, like I take notes on, okay, this is your strategy. This is how you do it. But I also learn from watching examples. And so when someone does a presentation purely on this is what this brand did and why it was successful and how you can replicate it or do something similar, not to copy them, but to understand what made it successful. Like I love that. So brandscaping, Deb's already got it down there. And I love Allison, by the way, too. It's like a power duo.
Oh my gosh, really, they are. It's like their goals, right? They're
I know.
completely
I was
their
like,
business and marriage, their partnership goals. They're fantastic.
I'm like, can I be like them when I grow up? One last question. You do between the book club, the tweet chat, and everything else. How do you promote everything? Get eyes on it. What is your strategy behind the promotion, behind every amazing thing you do, event, or just your weekly mini events on the social channels?
So, I am a big proponent of giving people on social media things that are useful to them and giving them the content that they're looking for and what's going to be really valuable and relevant to them at that point, at point in time. So we actually are not, with social media, we don't do a lot of heavy promotions of our events. I mean, our webinars, our book clubs, everything like that. We do some, absolutely. I mean, you have to. The reach is fantastic with social media, but that's not what we're at CMI are about. Really, we want to be able to bring knowledge to the forefront for the marketers who follow us. So it's a lot of sharing articles, not just from our blog, but from some of the speakers that we have, or from some of our other friends who are writing things. We share a lot of that stuff too, because it's not just about us. There are tons of smart marketers out there. They're witty and they're funny and they're well read, and we want to be able to share all of that too and share that love. We do have a promotion strategy where I will share things, but it's not constant. You see brands and it is just constant. Sign up for this, do this, give me money, whatever it is. And that's not how we roll at CMI. And I'm really grateful for that too. It's one of the reasons why I really wanted to work with, Joe and Pam Polizzi when they invited me on. It's why I'm grateful to work for Kathy McPhillips, because, social media is part of, we want to make sure that our marketing plans and our social media plans, everything aligns, right? Everything is exactly how, we work in tandem. And I know that in some places it doesn't. And people are just like, put every 2 minutes be tweeting this or share this or have an ad for this. And that's just not, that's not what our audience wants. That's not what our community wants. That's not what we want. We often talk about marketers as consumers. Mm-hmm. So there are tons of stuff that marketers do that as consumers we hate. And we try to be right. We try to be really we try to recognize that, and we try to make sure that we're not doing that, because we do want people to trust us. And the only way they'll trust us is if we're doing something that they respect. And, there's stuff that we've all seen it. We've seen brands do things that we're just kind of like, and we kind of, we cringe. I don't want to be that brand that people go, cringe. So,
oh my God, I 1,000%.
I don't know if I answered that.
No, you did, Monina. And I feel like we're so aligned with our values between Content Marketing Institute and Agora Pulse. You couldn't be any more aligned. And Monina, I love you so much. I'm so glad you've joined us. And you guys, guess what time it is? It's the best ending to a show, right? It is trivia time. So we're giving away an Agora Pulse mug or t-shirt to the winner of these 2 trivia questions. Now you have to answer them both correctly. If there's a tiebreaker, if we need to do one of those, we can do one of those. We are not going to give the answers away because we allow people to watch and basically give a guess after the fact. So they have a replay. So we wait 24 hours. But this is all Content Marketing Institute kind of related. So, but keep in mind, Monina and I can see into where you are. We can see your computer. So if you start Googling before you answer, we're going to see that. Now, when you answer these questions, make sure you answer 1-A, B, C, or D and 2-A, B, C, or D. So we know which question that you are answering. But with that said, let's do this. So Content Marketing World started in what year? This is the big, awesome, amazing, incredible live conference that they do every year. And Monina, what are the dates this year?
Of course you would ask that of me. It is the last week of September.
Last week of September. Okay, good. I know. And it's funny. Everyone will ask me too. They're like, "What day does spring start?" And if it wasn't right tomorrow, I'm like, it's the 20th or the 21st. Usually, it can be 19th or whatever. But yes, Content Marketing World started in what year? This is the live event that Content Marketing Institute has been putting on for several years. But I'm not going to try. I try not to give away the answer, and I always do. Is it A, 2008 that they started, B, 2011, C, 2013, D, 2015? Now, I attended my first Content Marketing Institute or Content Marketing World in 2019, and it was awesome. I fell in love with Cleveland. I fell in love with the event. I fell in love with Monina, everything. It was just so well put on. I was so excited. So yes, is it 2008, 2011, 2013, or 2015? Second question, still related. And keep in mind, Monina and I can see your computer. So if you Google, it's not okay. So when did Content Marketing Institute launch itself, the business? When did that start? Was it A, 2001, B, 2004, C, 2007, or D, 2012? How long has Content Marketing Institute been around? Remember, answer 2-A-B-C-D. So we know who is answering this question. And I'm going to take a look at the comments really quick. Oh, Kathy Phillips put in the dates too. Kathy has here, I'm going to pop it up on screen really quick, September 28th through October 1st. Kathy, thank you so much. Kathy, can you also put a link in to where people can sign up for the event, the conference as well? Or Monina, whoever wants to do that. So awesome. Okay, guys. So really last minute, when did Content Marketing Institute launch? Was it A, 2001, B, 2004, C, 2007, D, 2012? And Monina said you're not eligible to play trivia. This is true. Brad said 2D. So you guys, a lot of Ds, the guesses in Ds. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. We will let you know. We will, if you're a winner, I will send you a message. But with that said, Monina, it's 3:01. I'm sorry. We're a minute past the hour. Monina, thank you so much for joining us. Kathy as well, and everyone for joining us. Brad, George, you realize people are going to be contacting you for brainstorming, and maybe maybe we need to have a Facebook engagement brainstorm at some point. Obviously, Mike Alton, Deb Mitchell. We had Kevin in the house, Juan Santiago, Trisha, Megan Powers, all the crew. Thank you all for being here. And we hope you have an amazing weekend. But Monina, where can people find and follow you again?
Yes, so I am Monita W. I think it all across social media, but really the easiest way to get a hold of me is through CMI social channels. So we are at CMI Content on, on Instagram, on Twitter, we're Content Marketing Institute, and Content Marketing World on Facebook, also on LinkedIn. So please, please, please reach out to me there. I'd love to see all of you at Content Marketing World. I'd love to be able to talk to you on our Twitter chats, anything like that. Please, 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 it'd be great.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Monina, thank you so much. Kathy, thank you so much. And really quick, we have still our summit. So our summit was February 4th. This was our Instagram summit. But you can still register and access every single one of the sessions. You have basically a week left to access these. So if you're just like, oh my God, I'm just finding out about this, or like, oh my gosh, I've been meaning to watch them, it's okay. Maybe assign your team up, and it's free, I should say. This is 100% free. We put these on so that we can provide the resources, the knowledge, the education, everything that you need to succeed. And we focused on Instagram for our last summit, 100% free. All you have to do is go to summit.agorapulse.com, register. You have access to all the sessions. Maybe if you need to binge something this weekend, binge the summit, learn a whole bunch of things, and then just, come at Monday, you're just going to be like, guess what, guys, this, and this, and this. And you can wow your boss, executives, and everyone else. So yes, our Social Post Summit Instagram edition, you can still access everything for at least, I think, the next 7 days. We allow people 30 days after the fact. So we've got a couple more days of that. Make sure to do that. With that said, from Monina, our entire team at Agora Pulse, and everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have an amazing rest of your Friday, an incredible weekend, and we hope to see you back here next Friday. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.